The Aerospace Signature Forum offers a comprehensive perspective on the future of space through advances in human spaceflight, soft robotics, aerospace engineering, and next-generation space computing. Bringing together leading experts from academia, industry, and national laboratories, the forum highlights innovative technologies and interdisciplinary approaches that are redefining the capabilities of space systems and enabling the next era of exploration beyond Earth orbit. The forum is designed to inspire new partnerships and strategic collaborations while providing a forward-looking view of how scientific discovery and engineering innovation can collectively expand humanity's presence and capabilities in space.
Everyone, thank you so much for coming to this forum. Even if there is a really hot topic, AI is going on in that really big room. I believe you guys are all space passionate person in this field. As Professor Soyeon introduced to me, it's already been 18 years since my space flight, and maybe some of the students in this room, they were born even after my flight. Sometimes I met those kids. Yeah, it was 18 years ago. And so today's main topic is the healthcare challenges of the space flight. But before going there, I cannot start without the background of my space flight and then connected it to the main topic. So we call the Korean astronaut program. So all the experiments code is start from the KAP-01, KAP-02 is the Korean astronaut program. And then we had 18 different kind of experiment, and then not only for the astronaut, but also for all the experiment I brought up to the space station. It was really hot competition among them to be selected to send to the ISS aboard. So selection process is started from the 2006 because you met the vice president of the CARI, and then they are the main organizer of this project at the time. And we made a contract with the Russian Roscosmos to award the first Korean astronaut to the space station by Soyuz. So we started the application opening, as you can see, the 2006 April 21st. Maybe all of you knows that April 21st is the Science Day in Korea. So there was the wonderful inauguration of the astronaut program. And as Professor Seo told, then there was 36,206 applicants. I was among them. And at the time I was a still PhD student, and then I would never imagined that I can make a final candidate. I just thought it's a wonderful kind of memory during my last of the academic year, because it's almost the end of my PhD program. So all of my lab mates and friends are so exciting, and then my goal is to make the 300. So very originally they said they will pick the 300 out of the 36,000 people as the first round. And at that time I believe if I can make a 300, maybe I can write a one line of resume, and that might help me to get into the postdoc position in US, because many of the engineering faculties are fan of the Star Wars and Star Trek, maybe the little Korean girl who had an astronaut selection portfolio might be interesting for them. But it went further than I expect. But I didn't want to withdraw. So I just want to check it out, how far I can go. Because my first motivation to apply for a national program is not to be the final, but to check what kind of humankind will be the first Korean astronaut. But at that time, we don't have Instagram and YouTube or any kinds of thing. Only I joined there, I can see the one by one, what kind of people will apply for that. But luckily, I got a phone call from CARI, I became a final 30. That was the moment of truth, because I should tell my advisor I'm in this program, because every single daily newspaper covered all of our face and name, so you cannot be secret anymore. And then I became a 10, and the most exciting thing when I became a 10 out of 30 is I can go to the Russia for free. So we all go to the Russia, and it has a zero-G flight and skin scuba inside of the Russian training facility. And right after that Russian trip, I realized that even if I will fail right now, I got too much. out of this selection process because I met a lot of wonderful friends. Still they are my friends, and great time to interact with the non-engineering people and the TV crews and government people and some writers. And among the candidates, we had a policeman and jet fighter pilots and most variety of the people I could have met in my life because I was stuck in the engineering academy for 20 years after science high school and then joining the KAIST and then all of my friends are KAIST alumni. I realized that I was totally isolated in a really small concentration of the STEM people. And of course, I got a biggest Christmas gift ever, 2006 Christmas Day, because at that time we had a live TV show to announce the final two. And they call my name as a second order of that, so it was really, really surprising. And since then, as a Caribbean researcher, I was dispatched to the GCTC and then Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Russia. It's a little bit outside of the Moscow, and whole of the year had a training inside of the military base of Russia. That was really unique and extreme and fun experience for me. And then I got launched into the space 2008 April. And from all of you know, and all of Soyeon launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, and not in the Russia. We should fly to the Kazakhstan and then prepare for the space flight and launch into over there. I always have this photo in front of my presentation. Once you meet me, you will have just a third degree of the connection with Vladimir Putin because she's the very first female cosmonaut of Russia and a national hero in Russia, and she's the person who can call to the Putin right away with her own cell phone. So always I made a joke out of that, and then now you are the third degree of the connection with the head of the Russia. But anyway, no matter how short time I have, I always show this proud photo because of her face. And whenever I told my friends that she is almost my Russian grandma, and then once they saw this photo, they never trust me because she didn't smile at all right next to me. And if she came to this launching facility as the delegation of the government, she should be smiling in front of the camera, a lot of the cameras in front of us. And those photos made me really almost tearing in my eyes because she didn't smile at all. She's a professional politician. So whenever she had a camera, no matter how bad things happen, she always trained to be smiling. But she came here as my grandma because my mom even almost fell down right before my launch because her daughter is inside of the rocket that's disappeared of the sky. She's never seen the rocket launch in her life, and she only graduated from the private school. She would never take even airplane to the abroad country. That was the first trip ever of her abroad trip from Korea to the Russia. And look at her. And she's just so worried about my space flight. And the so funny thing is, she went to the space even younger age of mine at the time. And she went to the space with a Vostok. Vostok meant she was alone inside of the capsule. And Vostok, when we entry, they should have an ejection out of the capsule and then landing on the ground with a parachute. So she should have more than 100 times of the parachuting and then coming down to the ground and a much more hectic experience than I had, but still worried about her granddaughter has a problem. So she just keeps saying that, don't worry about it, everything will be okay, everything will be okay. But look at my face, everything is okay. And it's pretty much like a first camping day or a play date of the 5-year-old girl who go to the camping site, but mom, you should listen to the teacher very well. You shouldn't fight with your friends, and you should eat healthy, and those kind of relationship happen. So I really love this photo because she came for my launch as a grandma, not as a delegation. So anyway, I went to the space really successfully, and sneak peek of my mission is, all of my mission is a space experiment. So as I already told you, not only for an astronaut, but also for experiment, it was really competitive competition among all the researchers in Korea because they really want to set their own experiment in space. But as you know, the Korean administration kind of thing, and they picked up every single experiment in every single field. So that was the incredible opportunity for me to take care of all different kinds of space experiment. At that time, I was almost like a physical AI from those researchers because they just trained me how to play with that, and I just followed their protocol. And all of you knows that when you hand over your experiment to the other professional, and you feel like you hand over your baby to the other person. And I was researcher who had pretty much the same experience during my PhD. So when I hand over all those experiments, I cannot help taking care of really well because it's every single little experiment from their baby. And they always talking about that if that has a problem, you should do this kind of thing. So many of the people told me 18 experiments during the 11 days, especially in the space, is too much. Especially all of the Russian researchers and professionals told me even behind the scene, so you don't have to do it all of that. If you can finish it half of that, it is successful because much more than the normal astronaut project. But as a researcher who knows the mindset and the feeling of every single person who sent the experiment, I cannot do it. So I should save my, kind of cut off my sleeping time and breaking time and that kind of thing. Or some of the experiment has a failure and then I should try all the way from the first, and it takes 2-3 times more duration I should spend, but I cannot prioritize whose experiment over others. I cannot do it. So I really want to take advantage of the full 9 days aboard ISS to take care of all of experiment and successfully bring it back. And most of them I publish it and then check it out and analyze the data. And a lot of the national activity with the TV companies and televised through the TV every night, 8 p.m., right before the news program. And then I had an interview with a Korean celebrity, and then I had an interview with some of the orphanage kids in Korea from the space live TV show. And hopefully there was the great inspiration for the next generation who will take care of the SpaceX activity in Korea. So let me go into the healthcare challenges, and then of course I can spend the whole night to talk about my training and flights and selection process, but it is a really short version of that. And many of people are just exciting about the astronaut going to the space, and that is incredible. But we always have, whatever things happen, has a cons and pros. But some of the cons I would love to share, and astronauts has a really serious healthcare challenge in space. First of all, and really first thing I can feel with my own skin is the space motion sickness. So right after launching rocket, and then you go into the zero gravity in 10 minutes because you have a 2-step of the engine separation, and then you have aboard the orbit before have a rendezvous to the ISS. Your motion sickness right away is starting. And actually my surgeon, flight surgeon told me, you better not see through the window because once you see through the window, motion sickness just come to you. So please see through the window as late as possible. But thinking about the mindset in your mindset is the first and last chance of your lifetime. How you can avoid looking through the window. There's a window right next to here. Yeah, do you really think you can avoid it? I don't want to do it. So once I look through the window, of course, have vomiting happen and headache happen and all that kind of thing. Especially the people who has more sensitive to the motion, they had a more serious motion sickness. And of course, 99.9% of the humankind has a motion sickness when they go to the space, especially when they have a zero gravity. But sometimes 1 out of the 1,000 and 10,000, they are totally unique and they don't have any motion sickness. I met several of the astronauts and cosmonauts, but pretty much all of them. And then some people has a more serious and some people has a less. And I expected I might have more serious motion sickness than others because I have a motion sickness every single vehicle. Whenever I rode the bus, more than 30 minutes has a motion sickness in my lifetime. And in any kinds of boat, even small or big, I always have a motion sickness. Definitely when I took the flight from the Seattle to here, 6-hour flight yesterday, definitely I had a motion sickness, even airplane. So I never enjoyed in-flight meals at all because of the motion sickness and how long flight it is. So although my doctors think you might have more motion sickness than other people. But interesting thing is, space motion sickness is totally independent from the other motion sickness. So my level was quite mild and then average. And of course, height increases the huge benefit of the shorter astronaut and shorter cosmonaut. I got an inch, and that brings a pain on my body because humankind who is the adult, who got the 2 centimeter right away in 10 minutes, is really, really painful. And then after getting back, you will lose a 2 centimeter exactly, and you have another pain. So it takes 2-3 weeks, even longer than my space flight, to getting down all the pain out of that. I have a really, really good care of that from the aerospace hospital. And of course, most famous thing is the fluid shift. Because of the zero gravity, your body liquid and the blood doesn't go down to the toes and hands. And you have a lot of blood in your chest and head, so you have a puffy face, and you have a headache, and you have a heart kind of pressure really, really high. So it takes a week or so to decrease all the pressure, and then lose your body liquid out of your body. So most of the astronauts, they leave with 80% of the blood than the normal life for whole in space flight, for whole. But it's okay, only you lose the muscle in your arms and legs. But after getting back, when you have a gravity right away, all the blood going down. That's why a lot of astronauts has a white, pale face right after landing, and they cannot stand still, and they cannot walk well. It's not because of the space virus, it's because of the fluid shift. But the first generation of the astronauts, they might be misunderstood by a lot of people because they are pale white and they cannot walk, but we all understand now why. And of course, ophthalmological problems because of the high pressure of your face, and then you have a high pressure on your eyes, and then on the ground you have a lower eye pressure at night, and in the morning you have a high eye pressure in the morning because you lay down on the bed and then stand up. But in space you have a pretty much same eye pressure whole day, and that has a little bit of the risky of your eyes. And of course, sleep disturbance is totally different sleep environment than here. You cannot be part of your bed, and then you cannot feel like you are kind of sinking inside of the bed. You keep floating, but I realized recently one of my best friends, astronaut, he would never talk about it. But several months ago, we had a panel together. I talked about sleep disturbance, but he talked about I had a bad sleep ever in space. So some people feel more comfortable, hold their bodies floating and then free in the 3 degree. But my case is I feel more comfortable when I sink down in the bed. So it's a little bit the individual problem, but more than 90% of astronauts, they feel a little bit disturbance, but some of them feel really comfortable. And it's the end of the, my challenging thing is all those topics is more like a long-term space flight issue. So I couldn't feel all of them with my own skin because I've been in space station only 9 days, and then whole my space flight is 11 days. But long term, you might lose the bone and muscle because of the circulation and because of the low load on your board. So on the ground, you just walk and stand. No matter how you feel or not, your bones still feel the load. And then keep the calcium and then make your bones more stronger, but we cannot in the space. So that's why many of the astronauts who stay in the space longer than a year, they had a little slight symptom of the osteoporosis. So some of the medical company, they testing the osteoporosis medicine to the astronaut to take test about it. And radiation exposure, very well known for all of us. And psychological challenge, of course, we are isolated. Every day we should fight against the life and death situation. So that is the big, huge issue. So I would love to conclude my presentation. As you know, we still have an ongoing effort to address the healthcare issue and then taking care of the countermeasure for that. And then we had an exercise machine in ISS right now, and then we try to develop more, but still, a lot of things are not found yet, and it's really, really important to continue the related research because we are dreaming to go to the moon for a long time, and of course to the Mars, and then going to the Mars and come back, just going back is the more than 2 years. Then we should take so seriously about the healthcare challenge. And of course, future R&D is really, really important because more countermeasure happens and then more humans can fly to the space better. So,